Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am going to summarize the essay Why the Nobel Matter by D.S. Lawrence. So let's start. So the essay is written by D.S. Lawrence. It was published in 1936 in his essay collection Phoenix. Importance of Nobel. In this essay, Lawrence speaks about the importance of Nobel and try to establish the superiority of the Nobelist above other professions. In an attempt to illustrate the importance of Nobel, Lawrence explained the importance of life and the living man. In the latter part of this essay, Lawrence describes elaborately why being a Nobelist is superior than any other profession. So the next concept is the whole is greater than the part. Lawrence believed that noble work as a means to instructing or guiding man or woman to live life to the completed. So that also reveal Lawrence's philosophy of life. Lawrence announced it in his essay, being a Nobelist, quoted, I consider myself superior to the saint, the scientist, the philosopher, and the poet. Unquoted, who are all the great masters of different bit of man lives, but never get the whole hook. Hook means as a whole. So here Lawrence claimed that being a Nobelist, he considers superior than scientist, philosopher, poet. Because they may be master in a particular field or topics, but not as a whole. Lawrence's mode of argument is simple but extremely effective. He indicates that the Nobel is the most flexible and the creative of literary forms. Lawrence begins the essay by ridiculing the superstitious beliefs that the body and the soul or mind are two separate existences. Lawrence said that he was only a soul or a body, mind, intelligence or a brain or a bit of himself. The whole is greater than the part. So, for a living man, the whole part is important. He says that this is what scientists and philosophers fail to understand. According to Lawrence, Nobel shows life and its character are nothing but man alive. This is something which can be understood by the Nobelist because the Nobel is a bright book of life. Therefore, the Nobelist is better than the scientist and philosopher. He quotes an example of Italian Saint Francis, who tortured his body, believed that the soul was of ultimate importance. However, when he was dying, he apologized to his body for torture on his body. The Nobelists are superior than the scientist and the philosopher. According to Lawrence, the Nobelist possess a complex understanding of the man alive more fully than a person, a philosopher or a scientist. The person speaks about the soul in heaven, but the Nobelist talks about paradise in palm of our hand or at the end of our nose, which are alive, because during this lifetime understanding by what happens to afterlife. So the Nobelist is not concerned about life after death. The philosopher speaks about infinite knowledge possessed by a pure spirit, but for the Nobelist, there is no knowledge beyond what the living body can preserve. For philosopher, nothing but thought is important. But Lawrence says that thought is not alive. It is like a radio signal floating in the air, which are meaningless until they reach the receiver. A radio device that makes out the signal into a meaningful message. Similarly, when thoughts are received by a man alive, they become meaningful. It is only because the man alive received them they become alive. Thus, the living body is more important than the message conveyed by the thoughts. According to Lawrence, nothing is more important than life. Living things is more valuable than a dead object. A living dog is better than a dead lion, but a living lion is better than a living dog. Lawrence says that scientists and philosophers find it too difficult to accept the value of living. For the scientist, a man is heart, a liver, a kidney, a gland, or a tissue, but for the Nobelist, the whole living man is important. This is because of a Nobelist deal in nothing but man alive. In this regard, Lawrence called the Bible a great confused novel. It is not about the man alive, but a long list of men alive. Even God himself is another man alive. According to Lawrence, the entire Bible, Homer, Shakespeare, is an example of supreme old novel. They affect the whole man alive, not a part of a man as does the scientist. According to Lawrence, the nature of the novel is dynamic. It is character which reflect the importance of constant, and if something is forced to remain constant, it loses its value and power. Along with the passage of time, a man today is different from what he is today. A man loves women because of the constant changes in her. Loving an unchanging person is like loving a lifeless object. Lawrence says that one can learn about the importance of change from a novel. In a novel, the character does nothing, but if they begin to act according to fixed pattern, always remain good or bad, then lose its value and power. Lawrence, however, says that it is difficult to define what is living. Different men has different idea about what they mean by living in life. Some go to seek God, while others seek money, wine, and women, and others seek vote and political reforms. In this, Lawrence says that the novel is a guide that helps to differentiate between a man alive and man who is dead man in lives. A man alive shot his enemy, but in life threw bombs at people who were neither his friend nor his foe. Finally, Lawrence says that the most important thing is to be a whole man alive, and the novel provides guides. The novel providing guides in this matter. The novel is the best to guide which help us to live without getting ourselves unnecessarily disturbed by the theory of right or wrong, since what is right in one case becomes wrong in another. In the novel, we say a man dying because of his goodness, another person is dying because of his weakness. Lawrence extended fictional practice by breaking convention established by the Victorian novelist. Thus, Lawrence asserted the novel is a book that can teach the life of a whole man alive, and that is why novel matter.